Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth alongside Phil Duvall. Say hi, Phil.
Before I say hi to these people, Andy, I have two things. Two things.
You're awfully
One,
rude to our guests, but thing
okay,
number
I'll say,
one,
I'll say hi to them. Hey, everybody, how's it going?
nice.
Now, you know what, everybody? I'll tell you the two things. One, before we got started, Andy was like checking his teeth and stuff, which I have a bunch of seeds in my teeth because I'm drinking this fresh smoothie that's totally probably healthy for me, but makes my teeth look like I just like ate dirt. Anyways, you were all checking your teeth, and I'm like, you realize that the resolution of what actually gets filmed never looks as good as the way it looks to us right now, anyways.
It's
So
true.
I could
It
be
looks
missing
really
some of
awesome
these.
to us right now.
That's what's funny. You guys don't know that when we're filming, like we look great to us. Like it looks, but not just great, like good looking. I mean, like perfectly defined. It looks like normal, and then it's kind of not that. We got to work on that someday, but not yet.
I meant
Secondly,
good looking. Thing number two.
thing number two, I wanted to tell you guys how it feels to be doing this podcast right now. It feels like this. Reunited and it feels so good. Reunited and it's understood. That's Andy. That's reunited with you and reunited with our guests. It's a multifaceted love that I'm feeling right now for you and for everybody.
How polyamorous of you.
Well, I try to think of it as my one love for the show.
Oh my goodness.
Let's do this.
I just like to point out that those were apparently important enough for you to consider saying them before saying hello to our guests.
I, I'm not very considerate, but I will tell you this. I am incredibly excited for our topic today.
Yes. Pretty much inarguably, there has been one good movie released this year. Like, really honestly good, right? I have seen several movies this year, and not all of them did I leave wanting to kill myself.
I thought you liked Snitch.
I liked it fine.
I thought you liked Oz.
I liked it fine.
Okay.
But the only movie that I can say, let me put it this way, the only movie that's come out so far in 2013 that I am no doubt slam dunk gonna buy
Okay.
is Warm Bodies.
Aha.
Yes. And our topic today,
It is an important topic
it is an important topic.
because we haven't talked about it since our first podcast,
Yes. Uh-huh.
way back in the golden days of yore.
Warm Bodies is, or is not, and therein lies the topic for the day, a zombie movie.
Ah.
Now, on its face, clearly, like it's being marketed as a zombie movie, and people are saying, like,
Yes.
oh, the main character is a zombie, and blah, 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 blah. But I don't care what it's marketed as. You know? Like,
No,
what is
well, I
it?
mean, we care to
Right.
some degree, again, for the same reason. Our big conversation, if you want to look back through our archives, folks, we had this conversation about 28 days later. And it was very clearly, to me, marketed as a zombie movie. And I argued was a zombie movie, and Andy argued that it wasn't a zombie movie. And Andy has
That's fair.
argued that
That's
this wasn't
true.
a zombie movie since before the time could come, but that could be the case.
Mm-hmm.
But what was interesting, like before anyone ever argued it, it was just like, here's a zombie movie, and Andy was the first in the world to go, nay, nay. But the thing is that I would still say to someone, I remember I was talking to someone, I said, oh, I'm going to watch 28 Days Later. And they said, oh, the zombie movie? And I went, yeah, you know, because they probably meant as opposed to the Sandy Bullock Detox movie. And that's fair, which I have gone on record as saying I love 28 Days. But so anyways, the reason we talk about this with Warm Bodies is actually really great. I said to my wife before the filming of this particular episode, I said, tonight we're going to talk about Warm Bodies and we're going to talk about whether or not it's a zombie movie. She goes, oh, okay, well, it isn't. My wife. And I go,
Ladies and gentlemen,
I go,
my
really?
wife.
I'm so proud. And I go, really? And she goes, well, I mean, it is. But I mean, come on, it isn't. How proud am I right now, right? Like I'm
You better
gushing.
be very proud.
And I
Is
go,
the
and I
answer to that
go,
question?
well, why do you say that? And she says, well, they don't do the things that zombies do. They move too fast. And I said, well, and she goes, nah, they move too fast. And I was like, okay. And then she says, and we can talk about that. That's going to be a part of the conversation, of course. And she said they move too fast. They don't. And she said, and they come back to life. And then there's two different kinds of zombies. Oh, by the way, everyone, if you haven't found out,
Right.
we're going to be having spoilers during this, and we'll announce that in the heading, Andy. But
Yeah.
folks, we're going to talk about this movie in depth. We're going to talk about what we really think about it. And
Yep.
so, if you haven't seen this movie, um, and you're worried about missing something, which I would say you should see this movie. So, if you haven't seen this movie, just don't watch this
Yeah.
until after you've watched it.
Yeah.
Then, once you've watched it, you can watch this.
Yeah.
But if you've never seen the movie and you listen to this podcast or watch this podcast, and then you're like, but then I found out. Yeah, then that's your fault. That's your problem. I know that we're adorable and fantastic, but go listen to another episode again, and then you can come back and listen to this one
There
after
you
you've
go.
seen Warm. So my wife said they move too fast. They don't move like zombies. She said they're too dexterous. She said, how about that?
Interesting. Okay.
And then there's the two different kinds of zombies, which she didn't buy into, and she said some come back, which she didn't buy into. Although all this being said, she loved the movie.
Yeah.
But when she was walking out, she goes, "This is not a zombie movie." And then I have a friend of mine named Christian, who is just a guy that I love, a very dear guy, also a very difficult person. He doesn't do it like, the funny thing about Christian, like as opposed to Mike, I talk about my brother a lot and joke around that my brother is like openly contrarian. Christian's the kind of guy who is not like openly argumentative, but he'll just say things in a way that's just like, nah, no.
Okay.
And he was like, "Oh, warm bodies. Oh yeah, hmm." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "I mean, not as." He's like, "Well, I mean, didn't really follow the zombie rules." And I was like, "So you didn't like it?" He goes, "Nah, didn't follow the zombie rules." He was like, just sort of like very, nah, whatever. And I was like, "We need to talk about this because enough people are now saying to me that Warm Bodies is not a zombie movie that we need to have this conversation." Andy Roth, set
Yeah.
the record straight.
This is clearly a zombie movie. This is clearly a zombie movie.
Do say more, Andy Roth.
Well, let's set up the zombie genre, okay?
Shall we?
First off, this is one of the youngest genres out there. I mean,
Okay.
I stand by that. I mean, the first zombie movie, which we are not talking about, is called White Zombie, and that was made in like the 30s. But that was your voodoo zombie, a witch doctor raises people from the dead, and they're just sort of like they're his slaves and minions, but they're dead, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the genre that George A. Romero created in Night of the Living Dead in the late 60s, okay?
Yeah.
The rules that he set up,
Yeah.
with very few modifications, remain today.
Yeah.
The zombies must be dead. They're dead. They retain very little. How to put this? They retain just enough of their personalities to become a metaphor. Let me put it that way.
Well, that in and of itself is an interesting point because, for instance, would we argue at all about the idea that The Walking Dead is definitely fills in the zombie? Like Walking Dead is zombie. Like the movie The Walking Dead TV show is absolutely zombies.
Yes.
We have no question about that. And they would stand pretty strongly on the idea that you do not retain your personality at all.
True.
I don't think it's a given that once you're dead, and this body gets reanimated. It's
Right.
a reanimated
Okay.
corpse.
So here are the things that are true. That like these are the bare bones of zombie movies.
Okay.
Zombies are dead. If they bite you, you're dead.
Yes.
And dead people come back to life. Even that I have to be a little iffy about because sometimes like some movies set it up where if you are dead for any reason, you come back to life as a zombie, and
It's
others
true.
you have to be bitten by a zombie and
Right.
die. Whereas like the first kind, a zombie bite
Is
kills
there
you,
another?
and any death reanimates you.
Is there another major zombie thing out there besides Walking Dead? Where, and by the way, if you haven't seen Walking Dead season 2, then sorry, but you find out in season 2 that people who die, everybody who dies, comes back as a zombie. You find that out in season 2. Is
Yes.
there anyone? And by the way, season 2 is so bad that I don't mind telling you that. If you don't know,
It's true.
season 3 is amazing. Season 3 is just rock and roll hoochie coo. Okay, so worry not,
Yes.
dear stranger. But season 2, you find out that the people, everyone who dies comes back. Is there any other major zombie narrative where that's the case? And I just use the term major zombie narrative, which makes me the biggest kind of douche. But is there anyone? Is there any other guy out there that does that? Because it really, when it introduced that to me, I was like, I'm sorry, Qua?
You know what's interesting? It's never explicitly stated in the Romero movies.
One way or the other.
One way or
You're
the
right.
other.
Okay.
So let's talk about. Let me say some additional things that sort of circle the zombie genre. Fast versus slow. Okay.
Can I posit my idea on this?
Say again?
May I throw
Please
in my
do.
2 cents here? My understanding is that your body, you die, and your body begins to decay.
Yep.
And so if you die, like if I'm perfectly agile Phil, and people who know me know that I am perfectly agile, Andy, I can do cartwheels, literally. Well, cartwheel. I can do one.
Phil.
I can't do 2 in a row. That would hurt something. But perfectly agile Phil can do a cartwheel. If I were killed like right now by a zombie, and in such a way that I died very quickly, then if I came back as zombie Phil, I would retain the same basic muscle strength because my muscles haven't started to deteriorate yet. So I would have a basic same level of agility, or at least like I have the potential for speed because I have the same muscles. Plus, I don't have any pain. I don't feel any pain, so there's nothing stopping me from like just bolting like a crazy person. Am I right on there, or am I off?
You're mostly off. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And here's why.
Tell me.
If you look at Dawn of the Dead, they all move the same, right? And there's just no way that every zombie was killed in the same way or at the same
you see
speed.
you see the little girl comes back as a zombie moving pretty slowly. Slowly enough that if the mother did anything but go, no,
Yes.
she might have had a chance at living.
Having said that, the very first zombie you see in the very first zombie movie, the graveyard zombie in Night of the Living Dead, I wouldn't say he runs, but he's got a good pep in his step. You know what I mean?
They're coming for you, Barbara.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
They're coming for you. Here they come. Barbara. Don't be. What does she say? You're being stupid. You're being
Something. I don't know.
Infantile.
What he does with that movie, there's so much. I'm gonna get on my soapbox. How amazing that movie is. I mean, obviously he has a black man be the hero, and that was not really done in horror movies ever before that. But also,
or for 30 years after. To
or for 30 years after.
That's what's funny. It's not like it was like they did that movie and then everyone was like, "Wait a minute, a black person could be a hero." It's that they did that and everyone was like, "Wait a minute, never mind," and then they went back to just killing black people immediately.
Like that's socio-political stuff, and that's good. Great. I'm not in favor of that or anything. But from the standpoint of a movie, his protagonist, the person he sets up as a protagonist, is insane and basically catatonic for 90% of the running time. It's astonishing.
I watched that movie with. I told you before. I watched that movie with a high school class.
Yeah.
and they were so mad at her. Like the girls just couldn't. They were like,
Yeah.
"What? Why? Why?" Like they were so mad, and they
Yes.
couldn't quite. At least not at first. They couldn't figure out that she was effectively a zombie as a human being,
Indeed.
which is
Right?
the point.
Yes.
One of the points. But at once they figured it out, and they were like, "Okay," but they were like, "But that doesn't change the fact that she's obnoxiously annoying." And I was like, "Yeah, that's kind of the deal." But it was
Yeah.
pretty great. So.
Um, yeah, and that's the other thing. There's not really a bunch of likable people in the movie, which is kind of refreshing. Like Ben is the hero, the black guy. He's not necessarily a nice guy. I mean, he's not a overt jerk, but he's not a great
It's sort of like
guy.
watching. It's sort of like watching the HBO show. It's like who is the least terrible person here?
Which HBO show?
Girls.
Oh, sure, right.
It's like
Yeah.
who is the least terrible person here? I think it's him.
So getting back to Fast versus Slow, this is my take on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And it really isn't any more in depth than this. So fast zombies include movies like, if you want to include it in the genre, which I don't because they're not dead, but 28 Days Later,
Okay.
the Dawn of the Dead remake, Return of the Living Dead.
Which is a Romero film.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking of not Return. I was thinking of that one.
but Return, but
Land of
it
the Dead.
clearly
I was thinking of
wants
Land
to.
of the Dead.
Yes, Return of the Living Dead is clearly a it wants to be in the same universe. Return of the Living Dead I don't care about because it's a spoof, first of all, and it's so goofy. Like it's I mean there are lines in it like, "But I love you, darling, and you have to let me eat your brains."
Oh, I know. It's fantastic.
Yes. Dawn of the Dead. Here's what bugs me about fast zombies. There's nothing like there's no, it's almost less scary because you're just automatically dead. You're automatically dead.
Right.
And there's no like what is scary in a horror movie is not the payoff. It's the anticipation.
I agree.
In good horror movies.
For sure. Well, because neither you nor I are into the. I mean, like the gore is sort of
Incidental.
almost byproduct or
Yes.
incidental.
Yes.
Right.
The other thing that I don't love about fast zombies is I don't understand. And yes, it's a virus presumably that reanimates dead people. I get that. I get that we're
Do you
suspending our
get it
disbelief
though, Andy?
anyway.
Do you get it?
I think I do.
Okay.
It. I don't understand why a virus that would reanimate dead people would turn them into Olympic sprinters. I just that's not that's the apparently
Again,
that's the bridge too far.
But I go back. But I go back to the original point that I'm making, which is that if it's the same body that you had before, and your muscles haven't deteriorated yet, it makes sense that if you see something that you want more than anything in the world,
Sure.
you'd be able to flat out sprint.
Right. But they can all run faster than anyone who's alive.
No, that's not the same. That's problematic.
Yes.
And that happens in Warm Bodies. And yet you're saying Warm Bodies is a zombie movie.
Okay. So this is my last point. It's sort of about zombie movies in general, and we'll go right into Warm Bodies after this because I think it segues nicely. All of the great zombie movies, and I would put, frankly, there aren't that many. So I'll expand it to all the good zombie movies. The great ones, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Shaun of the Dead. That might be it for truly great zombie movies. Okay? But good ones, you've got Day of the Dead, you've got, I might even say Land of the Dead.
You wouldn't.
I might. I really like the cast in that movie.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Fido.
I loved Fido.
Right. Even things like Night of the Creeps. Less Night of the Creeps. Forget I said that.
Shaun of the Dead.
Say again?
Shaun of the Dead.
Yes. A Cuban movie, Juan of the Dead. Which I saw
I've heard about this,
recently.
but I haven't seen it.
It's good.
What about, where do you fit Zombieland in this? Because Zombieland is a movie that a lot of viewers and listeners have actually seen. It
Yes.
was such a popular movie. The zombies are pretty fast in that movie.
They
They're not
are
necessarily Olympic sprinters, but they are normal paced.
I mean, it bugs me. It bugs me a little bit. Not
Okay.
enough to keep me from enjoying the movie. I own the movie. I like it a lot. But it bugs me at least a little bit.
I think I'm with you on this. I think a fast zombie is breaking the rules.
And here's why it bothers me. The slower a zombie is, the more it is able, and this is what I was going to say about the great and the good zombie movies. All of them, the thing that they all have in common, here's the secret about zombies. They're kind of boring. So,
I think they lull
especially
you.
on the individual level.
Right.
So, in the aggregate, what they do is they become a metaphor for something. In Night of the Living Dead, it was a metaphor for the spread of communism, for white flight into the suburbs, whatever you want with your late 60s angst. 70s.
Clearly racism with clearly racism and white flight with the
Yes.
black male protagonist. Yeah.
Agreed. 70s, it was about sort of consumerism and people being beholden to their things rather than
Right.
other people in their lives.
Right.
Day of the Dead is about sort of the triumphant military-industrial complex, and that's kind of lame, and that's why that movie is kind of lame. Shaun of the Dead is sort of post-modern, like our jobs are making us zombies. Fido is
And even our generation, I like our generational outlook. Like, but the point is that
Yeah.
because of how slowly zombies move, you can create this thing with this thought process where it's like we are slowly turning into this thing.
yes.
And so slowly we don't notice it because you don't hear zombies coming up because they're not running at you. It's like you just
Right.
like all of a
Right.
sudden they're upon you. It just happened, but you know how slowly they move, so it's kind of amazing.
Yes. The line from the old comic Pogo, we have met the enemy and he is us. Right?
Right.
That is
It's from that? That's from a comic?
yeah. That is are you Googling it right now?
I might. I believe you. I just can't. I just can't believe it.
I understand. Basically, every zombie movie truly worth its salt, that's at the center of it. We have met the enemy and he is us. And actually, in many cases, the real villains in zombie movies aren't the zombies. It's other humans. Zombies are just kind of doing what they do. It's like calling the wolves in the gray the villains. They're not the villains, they're wolves. Like they're doing what wolves do, right?
Right.
So what I loved about Warm Bodies, I'm not sure that I agree with you that they move faster than the two kinds of zombies is problematic.
They definitely like move pretty. No, I think they don't. I think my wife was mostly bothered by the zombies that turn into bones,
Skeleton zombies.
and then they
Yeah.
just somehow move incredibly fast. And from a
That's true.
metaphorical standpoint, I thought that was one of the coolest, most fascinating developments in the show.
The farther away you
But
get from human,
just you become completely. There's a point. Look, the movie is first of all. The movie is clearly allegorical on a level, like on a true zombie movie level, like deeply. And what I love is it's not actually as and I gotta think more about some of the stuff like why is it at an airport, why does he live in an airplane, stuff like that. That's something I haven't even thought a lot about yet, but it's not to me as much about our specific generation right this moment as it is more of a broad statement.
yes.
Okay, love
Yes.
wins.
Here's
But it gets to this. There's these zombies that get. There's a point. Okay, and I've already said before, and I'll say again, this movie to me is like major Christian allegory, whether the writer asked it to be or not. But the further love brings the dead back to life. But there's a and you can, but you have to choose that. And there are people who there's things that just choose death, and
Yes.
that at a certain point you choose death, and you basically become inhuman.
Yes.
And I would go to so far, if you want to do the Christian allegory thing, then dark forces come to your aid, just as forces of light come to your aid going this way. I mean,
Okay.
in really traditional Christian myth and Christian, and I'm not talking about the biblical stuff. I mean, post-biblical Christian ideas and myth and all this stuff. There's all this idea of spiritual warfare and angels and demons, and the idea would not be that the devil stuff doesn't exist. It's that, oh no, like in The Exorcist, there's a real power there. And
Right.
so the idea that once these things fully give over to this darkness, they become somehow more powerful,
Right.
actually makes sense to me from an allegorical standpoint, from a message standpoint.
Right.
But from a sheer zombie standpoint, it's problematic to me.
It's interesting. That actually helped me resolve some of it. I think it's less problematic now, and let me tell you why. And
No. Oh, sorry.
this is why it's a fun movie, right? That's why I like the movie. I like the movie because it's fun, okay? Here's why I love the movie, okay? All of those other zombie movies that I mentioned as being good or great, and many that are also terrible. The metaphor, when you break it down, is this: why we are zombies, why humans are zombies, okay? What makes us zombies? Mm-hmm. In this one, the metaphor is what makes us human. And the answer to that is love. Mm-hmm. And it becomes even more poignant, I think, when you realize basically what it's saying is you have a choice, and your choice is love or death. And anything in the middle is kind of not even worth talking about.
Mm. Yeah.
And I really love that. I think it's a really interesting way for the trope, and I don't want to say it's part of the genre, but it's not an accident that every good zombie movie is a metaphor for how humans are zombies. Like, that isn't an accident. And that isn't true for werewolves, and it's not true for Frankenstein's monster, which you might think it would be. It's not true for vampires. It is only true for zombies. And so there is
What is only true for zombies? What is only true? Say it again. Repeat. What is only true for zombies?
A metaphor comparing humans and zombies.
Ah, okay. Okay. I have to think about that, but okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that's right.
So even the fact that that metaphor exists, even though it's reversed, just the fact that that metaphor exists makes me want to call it a zombie movie.
And the fact that they are dead.
And the fact that, I mean, on the most basic level, they are dead.
They do. Now, let's talk about what are some arguments against Warm Bodies being a zombie movie?
Purely from a zombie movie standpoint, the two flavors of zombies is problematic.
Very.
Although, allegorically, I don't think it is. Metaphorically, I don't think it is.
You can look at it as a zombie decaying to a certain point.
Sure, but it's more willful than that, right? Like, we don't see anyone slowly become right.
We don't see anyone become one at all. We see one
dead, and then all of a sudden I give up, and I'm just like, and then I strip
see that one guy rip off
my skin.
A part of his face. Like we don't actually see a transformation ever from zombie to bony.
True, that's true.
We see like kind of one, but not really, and that's mostly I think in service of a really good joke. So.
Yes, that's fair. That's fair. There's something nice in the, although problematic, in the amount of stuff that they retain from their old lives.
That's problem. Well, no. What do they retain from their old lives?
Not their old lives specifically, but human life, right? Like the zombies in Dawn of the Dead are drawn to the mall because, as the character puts it, this was an important place in their life, right?
Right.
But in terms of their behavior, there is no difference between the Hare Krishna zombie and and any other zombie.
But in Warm Bodies, there's the security guard zombie,
right? Who's boop boop, yes,
like all day long because it's just what his body remembers.
Yes.
So that's interesting. And there's also the fact that they do create patterns. They go out hunting in certain packs.
Yes.
They go out. This is By the way, this zombie movie is the first zombie movie I can think of that's really told from the zombie point of view.
Agreed.
Because it gives zombies personalities, which I think is another problem with it as a zombie movie.
But
like the main zombie lives, like has a place that he lives, like goes back to a place, and he has clearly. Who does he remind you of, by the way? Lives in his own place, collects things and puts them there, and it separates him from all the other zombies in a very particular way.
Tell me.
Wally. Oh my God.
Nice.
Are you kidding me? I can't believe you didn't see that. The whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, this is just like Wally. This is like zombies plus Wally. No, nice. He literally lives in his own little place, which is actually like, it's a plane, but I mean, he has to get to it and close it up, and it keeps him, and
that's really nice.
And he brings the woman back there for safety, just like Wally does with Eve, which is where that she learns that he is different. Well, she doesn't really learn it, and Eve doesn't really learn it because she's not human either. But it's where the romance happens. Yep. He does it with music. By the way, falling in love to a Bob Dylan song. This and Silver Linings Playbook both are falling in love to a Dylan song. I love this current generation of filmmakers, by the way.
Indeed.
They're finally figuring it out. The music in this movie was all our generation. And older too, but you know, the idea of him preferring vinyl. The problem for me here, another zombie thing, is he's got preferences, he's got choices, they've got friends. They don't like, even when, so for instance, when he's starting to become human, fine, I get that idea. The idea that this stuff might happen once he starts to get human makes sense to me. Yep. But based on the way he starts out, it leads me to believe that he was sort of not that far gone to begin with, and had these things, and
I mean, what that says
so
to
when
me,
his friend, when they almost spoke, they almost had a conversation, and then when he basically starts defending the girl, who is adorable, by the way, starts totes adorbs is I believe the scientific term for it. When he begins to defend her against his friend, and his friend's like starts to speak, he's like, eat.
Yeah,
like they actually have a conversation, and I'm like, this is problematic for me as a pure zombie person.
Sure. Here's how I took that. And maybe this is me rationalizing. Well, it's absolutely me rationalizing. But maybe this is me rationalizing to a bad degree. They were sort of zombies apart already, right? Like
But that's yes, go ahead.
They were sort of primed, right?
Right.
And so even with that, it sort of had to be a perfect storm for the revivification of R, right? Like because he was already the guy who hoarded stuff that reminded him of life, like Wally. I love that. Thank you for that.
Can't believe you didn't get that, but that's fine. Now you've got it.
He was already that, right? Mm-hmm. And they set it up in the movie that like you get flashes of people's memories when you eat their brains, right?
Wait on that. Well, yes, we're going to come back to that.
He had to be who he was. He had to eat that guy's brain and see that guy's girlfriend. Like it was like a perfect storm for all of that to happen. I think you just helped
me resolve an issue as well.
Okay.
The expansion of the mythology, which I actually think works. Again, I can't. When we talk like this, I want to punch myself. The expansion of the mythology, but I really do believe that zombie genre is a modern mythology that we need to talk about. Yeah. And then if it's popular culture, they need to have D-bags like us sit around and talk about it like seriously. I just think it's necessary for the continuing devolution of America. In zombie mythology, there's an expansion here, and I think that's fine. I think movies like, again, Walking Dead, all the dead people come back to life as zombies. That's an expansion of the genre, and we've accepted it within the framework of that story. Yeah. Romero absolutely allows zombies to have specific personalities and, to some degree, conscious behavior in Land of the Dead.
Yes.
which I
Yes.
personally have problems with. But people always say if Romero does it, it's okay. Well, they do. I mean, he's
No,
the
no, I
master.
know they do. That's become more problematic as his movies
As
have.
his movies have gotten worse and worse.
Yes.
Nevertheless, be that as it may,
It may.
this fantastic idea, this given in Warm Bodies that I had not thought of before, and I think it's really special, and I think it's actually a key to this. Maybe this is going to help people. Maybe this will help Christian. Maybe this will help me. I don't know. It's helped me a little bit, which is just now, which is that eating the brains, okay, of someone, of a living person, you get to experience their memories, and that's why zombies like it so much. That's, first of all, a wonderful thought,
Yes.
an amazing idea.
Yes.
And if you want to get into the Christian allegory of taking communion, I would love to do that sometime because holy crap. But
No, that's fair. That's fair.
not that I always get annoyed. It's one of those like little prude things I have when people are like, Jesus was a zombie. I'm just like, oh, just read the book. It's not. Read the book. It's a little different, but whatever. I get that people, it's clever, whatever. I get a little too serious about that. For like, we all have our little places that we're like, stop. I think it's because I'm too much of a particular person about what zombies are, and I'm too much of a particular person about what Jesus is. Like, if it was one or the other, that would be one thing, but it's sort of a perfect...
It's a bad combo for you specifically. That's true. That's fair.
But the idea of eating brains, giving you the memories, this would actually make... First of all, just that by itself, rad. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Very
Yeah,
cool idea.
so cool.
But as an expansion of creating this would help me understand why they might be able to have some level of consciousness, because they're soaking up other people's memories, and if the more they do it, the more it might have some effect on them.
Yes.
Now that messes with the zombie genre, but I don't necessarily think in a bad way.
I agree with you. And I think that's well said.
Oh, interesting.
It is interesting, isn't it?
I am seriously going to write like a really, really long essay about how this movie is just one big Christian allegory.
I look forward to reading it.
They get saved by being dipped in water. Are you kidding me?
I know.
Stop!
I know.
And he comes out of the water fully alive. Stop!
I know.
Okay. And then at the end, she's like, don't you want to know what your old name was? And he's like, nah. Like, I am this now. Because you've been reborn. Stop. Just stop. I was enjoying it so much. I was just loving it so much. I apologize. That's me geeking out. As a zombie fan and as a Christian, this movie just blew my... I was like, stop. You're killing me. Did you make this for me? Did you? And then they fall in love to a Bob Dylan song? Like, seriously.
That's fair.
Like,
In the way that I felt that Shaun of the Dead was made for me, I can totally see that Warm Bodies was made for you.
I still probably like Shaun of the Dead more, but that might just be because I've seen it more.
Sure. I do think it is a better movie.
Than Warm Bodies?
Warm Bodies is... Shaun of the Dead is a better movie.
Yeah, maybe.
But Warm Bodies is really good.
So what do we do with this two kinds of zombie thing from a point of view of zombie? I mean, like, have we hit on all the things that are really problematic?
I mean... I think so, because I don't think it's... and I said this to you before we started, and I've said this already in the podcast. I don't think it's all that problematic. It seems to me fairly cut and dried. They're dead.
Already dead.
Yeah.
They've been reanimated, but not alive.
Right. He even says, like... But when he's, like, talking... Right before he talks about eating the brains, he says, like, if I don't eat the brains, they'll come back as one of me. You know? Like...
Which is... fascinating.
Which is fascinating and right down the line zombie mythos, right?
So here are the things that we have. We have the zombies that can have two different kinds of zombie. Mm-hmm. Okay, but I say you decay enough that makes sense to me. Sure. It's problematic from the point of view of they get more fast, more strong, more powerful. You have to understand that on a spiritual, allegorical level, or it doesn't work. Right. If you just understand it from a purely natural point of view, it's problematic. It introduces a supernatural or spiritual element to the movie, in my opinion. That
I agree. I don't think there's any argument to that. I mean, otherwise, even take any sort of religious aspect out of it.
right.
The curing themselves, they don't all fall in love with a separate human, right?
Right.
Like
It's
this
literally
one
love.
zombie-
That's another thing. The love of one cures all of them.
Agreed. Yeah, I gotcha. I gotcha.
Okay, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I can't stop. It's so much fun. Okay. Okay. I'm just trying to think. I want to make sure we hit on all the points here. Because I think I get, partially just because I want to convince my friend Christian about this, which he's either going to believe it or he's not. Not much I can do.
Can I say something to
Yeah.
to that point, Christian? Get your life together, okay? You're wrong. You're wrong on this one. I'm sure you're a lovely person.
He's
okay?
a lovely person, and I don't like when he's wrong, but he's so wrong about this.
So wrong. You're just wrong.
Have you seen that state sketch, The Bearded Men of Space Station 11?
I have not.
Look it up, because it's
I will.
genius. Well, it's just because there's this one point where this guy just goes, "You're just wrong about the beards." And if you haven't seen it, that doesn't make any sense. But if you've seen it, "You're just wrong about the beards" is one of the funniest things ever. Sir,
Awesome.
you're just wrong about the beards. To which his response is, "No, I'm not." So that's what right now Christian is watching this going, "No, I'm not." So what are you gonna do?
Only one of us can be right, Christian. And in this instance, it's not always me. But in this instance, it's me.
we've only done 2 of these, but 28 days later, not a zombie movie. Warm Bodies, a zombie movie. Verdict.
Yes.
Okay. Andy and I, by the way, though we argue about it throughout each podcast, are actually in agreement on both of these films.
Excellent. Okay.
So
Okay.
And yeah, with that, I guess we're done.
I think we are. I think we're done. See Warm Bodies again. Or if you've made it this far and you didn't heed our warning about the spoilers and you wanted to watch it anyway, go see Warm Bodies. It's awesome. And trust me, there is nothing else out there. It might even be out of theaters by now, right? It's not in the top 10 anymore. I think it's out of theaters. Which
It was down to playing like 2 or 3 showings when I was there.
I'd be surprised if you couldn't
Do you know
find
the
it.
number one movie? Do you know what the number one movie? You know the number one movie of the year or the month of the whatever has been for the last month?
What's that?
Identity Thief.
That's unsurprising to me. It's just unsurprising to me. You know.
Well, I guess this year I'm guessing Oz won. Well, Oz won this past year, I think.
Oz
won, and then Jack the Giant's
up
there.
this past weekend.
What?
Oz cleaned up this past weekend. 80 million.
I know. I must see it.
However I come down on it, it ain't worth 80 million opening weekend.
I mean, well, wait a minute. People are excited, and it can't. I mean, come on, it is because that's what it made. I don't mean that.
Okay,
because
yeah, I get it. like from an economic market, like from a supply demand thing.
Considering
yes.
what I know, I shouldn't have gone pure Milton Friedman on you, but I will say that I mean, there's not a lot out, and
That's true.
Clearly,
oh
and
man, is that true?
People are clearly hankering for something at this point.
Yes.
So,
yes. And the answer, if you could find
it,
is Warm Bodies.
But I am surprised that Warm Bodies is out of the theater so quickly, comparatively. It's made $63 million, which Oz made more in one weekend, but Warm Bodies was a big deal. But then Identity Thief has made $116 million. Let's not even talk about this.
Okay.
We're done for the day. Well done.
I will say this, though. 63 million for a zombie movie. That ain't bad.
You're right. You're right.
You know?
I bet Zombieland made more.
Look it up, and then we'll sign
Well,
off.
clearly I'm looking it up.
Yes.
Zombieland lifetime gross was only $75 million.
See what I mean?
But that is still more.
That's true, but...
And it won't get there. Warm Bodies won't get there.
No, it won't.
But... Sorry.
But it's in the conversation.
And Dawn of the Dead, the remake? Only $59 million.
See what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
You are Andy. Andy, listen. It is no question here that I bow to your greatness in the zombie genre. I trust you. Like
Obsession. Eh.
in the end, whenever we disagree on something when it comes to zombies, it's sort of a foregone conclusion where this one's going to go. Sort of, not 100%, but 95%. There's always a chance.
There, of course, there's a chance. I have so many strongly held beliefs. My motto, and it is never more apparent than it is with movies: often wrong, but never uncertain.
There
You
you
know.
go.
So yeah.
So
Well,
I looked up zombie genre on Box Office Mojo from 1980 to present,
yeah.
and Warm Bodies is the third highest grossing of all time. Zombieland is or since 1980, Zombieland is the second highest grossing. I'm going to go ahead and call Zombieland the first highest grossing. Guess what they are calling the highest grossing zombie film?
What?
Are you ready to be angry, Andy?
I am ready to be angry.
Hotel Transylvania.
Oh my God. Flames.
Now, Flames. Now, Christian, if you were to say that wasn't a zombie movie, Andy and I would agree with you.
Oh my God.
There are zombies in it. There are zombies in it, to be fair.
Oh my God.
Um,
So angry. I'm going to end this podcast so that I can punch something in my apartment.
you should do that.
This has been a lot of fun. I always enjoy talking zombies, and I enjoy talking
Love it.
warm bodies because it's just an awesome, lovely little movie. It's just so much fun. But that brings us to the end of our podcast. This has been another Second Breakfast. I'm Andy Roth. That's Phil Duvall. We'll see you again real soon. Bye bye.
Bye.